Who here can tell me they were not at all prepared for Gatomon's transformation into Angie Woman? Because I was like,
bro, for real.
Hello, puberty. What just happened?
No one can see you raise your hand, Colin. This is a primarily audio form of podcast. And
he was emphatically shaking his hand.
That's when puberty hit me with a sledgehammer.
Not ready for it. Saturday morning, boom, there it is.
Welcome to another episode of Anime and Tea Podcast, guys. We are here with some of our cast members, Colin, Omar, Zoe, and Dano. And our topic for today is basically if you want to start anime at a clean slate and be able to see which ones you would enjoy, then we will be giving you great recommendations on starter anime. We're going to go through like why we would recommend it, why it's kind of good for a beginner, and then also what we like about it, us personally. So you can choose your own rendition if you might like it, if you might not, just by our synopsis and our opinions. We'll also go over how many episodes there are for each one. That way you have an idea of if you have enough time to actually watch all of these in one get-go, or, you know, you might have to kind of watch a few and then watch a few later. To start off for today, we will, as always, ask what is in everyone's cup. Zoe, what's on your cup?
I have chai tea mix that we got a giant bag of this from Costco. Even though it's a mix, I normally like chai made from scratch. This is actually really good, and it's one of my favorite things to drink right now, and we still have like 3/4 of the bag left. And I also have my giant water mug because hydration is key.
That sounds freaking delicious. I actually enjoy chai tea very much. Yes. Dano, what type of drink are you drinking?
I have a grapefruit yerba mix. Was feeling a little low on the energy, so I needed something with maximum caffeine, but not so much that it was gonna, keep me up all night. And I'm just a big fan of grapefruit. And it's a nice little citrus thing. I don't think I'm a fan of eating grapefruit, but I love grapefruit juice. So that's been my go-to.
Honestly, I'm the same way. I don't really like grapefruit at all. So sounds like an interesting drink for sure. Let's go to our next one. Omar, what are you drinking?
So for me, I'm keeping it classic as always. I'm having me some nice green tea, drinking it out of the official Anime and Tea Pod teacup, available on the Anime and Tea Pod store for 3 easy payments of $19.99. Make sure you go and order those ASAP.
Don't forget the shipping and handling, guys. Oh. Gotta add that into it.
My bad. Plus shipping and handling.
Omar, is that one of those little Loch Ness
Absolutely
things?
A Loch Ness Monster tea infuser.
I love those things.
And I got my manatee on order as well, so that'll be my next one.
I love that. Manatee. That's like perfect.
Tastes just a little bit better.
Well, thank you so much for somewhat going in our merchandise that's not yet released, but hopefully in the future it will be.
It's a good teaser.
Yeah, a teaser. I guess we could say it's a teaser. Yeah.
It's a teaser.
Teaser.
Even as a dad, that joke hurts.
We're so punny out here, I swear.
I don't know if a shower can get that one off me.
I gotta get out of here. See y'all later.
So earlier in the week, I told my friends that I had a lot of things I needed to get done, and I just didn't have the energy and time to do it. And so they turned me on to this concoction. And it is a can of Four Loko and a 5-hour energy shot. And it is apparently called a 9 Loko. And it works. I got all the same mistakes done that I got in half the time. I evaded the police. I fought a firehouse. I flipped a truck that I wasn't even in. Like, all in all, good day.
Sounds like a good day, but I would never drink Four Loko, like, ever.
Are you going to remember it tomorrow?
Yeah, that's literally how you just make all of your worst decisions. You ever seen those memes? It's like Four Loko thoughts. you should break into a library and fight a statue.
Fight the statue.
Fight the statue. Well, for me, I am drinking my favorite ale called Angry Orchard, green apple specifically, guys.
Green apple's the best.
Nothing is better than a green apple ale. I'm only supposed to be drinking one a day, so I'm going to stick with that, but still freaking delicious. Every day I drink it for sure. So now that we went over what we are drinking today, I'm going to go over my recommendations, which I only have 2 of them. My first one is Raking of Kings. If you ever watched it or heard of it, it's actually not that popular, surprisingly, and I wish more people knew about it. There's this prince called Boji, and Boji, he is deaf, so because he has that disability, people do find him a lot weaker and kind of feel bad for him, and he doesn't like that feeling. Actually, he's still a kid himself and is getting picked on constantly. Well, he has to become stronger, and that's what he wants to be. He wants to be a strong prince. He does have a half brother that he has to fight I guess you could say, the crown for. And unfortunately, because a lot of people find him like not, what's the word I'm looking for? Not ruling, or not fit for a king. Sorry, there we go. Not fit for a king. They decide to actually crown his brother, but his brother is being kind of talked to by this magic mirror. So, and this opportunity actually comes up for Boji, where he feels like, you know what, I want to become stronger. I want to be the strongest prince ever and be able to take adventures. So he does go out there. He meets his friend Kage, and they kind of travel around. But of course, things do happen back in his kingdom where he has to come back. But I feel like the character development overall is amazing. The anime is different, which I love. And the storyline from like start to finish just keeps you guessing on what's happening. You not only have Boji's story, you have Kage's story, you also have a little bit of background character story, so you have a better idea of like how they interact with the main character. So again, I would definitely recommend this for any starter. It's only 13 episodes long, so it's not even that long. You could probably finish it in a day. That's how perfect it is. The second one that I would recommend is Cyberpunk. Now, there is a game out there, and it is based off that game, but Netflix came out with the anime, and let me tell you, I never played the game before. Never in my life, but seeing that anime, holy crap, it made me want to immediately buy it. But the art style is amazing. It's very mechanical, which I enjoy. So instead of getting the superpowers from, general, everyone has superpowers and stuff like that, it's all based off mechanics. So being able to get this upgraded chip or these built-in muscles, like everything is electric, I guess you could say. And it's all, honestly, it's amazing because you can just be a normal human being and get all these upgrades and be the strongest possible. So it is a little bit of romance too, and that's why I feel like it's also perfect for a beginner, because you can watch it by yourself, you can watch it as a couple, but definitely you get to get a sense of how this boy became the way he became. The main character, I'm so sorry, the name is just escaping me right now. It's David. It's David Martinez. He has a drink name after him. I remember now. Well, David does go to high school. He goes to this elite high school, even though he's poor. His mom, of course, is trying to make sure he has the best education possible, even though he does not want it. But basically, he doesn't want to get bullied because he's poor at an elite school. And he really just doesn't want to be in the school itself. In the first episode, it does show even how like being poor is pretty bad being in these rich schools. They were all like, we needed an upgraded chip for class today. Well, this upgraded chip costs like millions of dollars. Of course, the other kids could buy it within like 2 seconds, but he had to get it downgraded. And, basically he had to pay someone to kind of create a copy of it, but for a cheaper price. So when he went to school and tried it on, of course, like it ruined the whole programming system and everything was exploding. Not too extreme, but like literally class could not proceed because of that. Of course, he then gets to meet this girl. He falls in love with this girl, but also gets to understand like he can also get upgrades to become more stronger, has his own club, and basically becomes a thug. But it's not like he knows he's becoming one. It's just like you kind of go through his storyline and just find out, oh my God, like, of course he had to become one to survive. And even though the girl he fell in love with did not like him at the start, you know, she does end up falling in love with him. And there's also a friend zone in there that I just freaking hate, but you know, unfortunately it is what it is. I kind of enjoy that they added that because honestly, you know, we do need more animes that have that like feeling of friend zone, because I feel like everyone's been friend zone at some point in their life without even realizing it. So like you have that understanding with that one character because you're like, oh, that's happened to me before.
Platonic relationships. Damn.
Yeah, like it is 10 episodes, and let me tell you, within those 10 episodes, you're like, I want more, because you truly just fall in love with all the characters, love the storyline, the ending, my goodness, it's going to pull on your heartstrings so hard. But if you have the time, it's on Netflix, watch it, tell me how it went.
All right, so I'm gonna push back a little bit here because I wanna challenge you.
Oh, challenge
I want
me.
to put you in a position where you have to defend this choice, or both of these choices, both for Ranking of Kings and Cyberpunk.
Why?
I just got an image of Kim and Dano, and it's that scene where it's like, you're challenging me?
Exactly.
Oh, the Shaggy meme.
To be honest, it really did just feel like Dano just sat there and said, "You've activated my trap card."
Because here, I think there's a distinction to be made here, right?
Right.
Of something that makes a good story may not necessarily be the best entry point. I feel like you've given me good reasons for why these are good stories.
Yeah.
But what makes them special for a point of entry? Somebody who's like brand new to this, what is it that these offer that others may not?
Yeah, I would say it's probably because it's so short. So initially, for example, I was going to go ahead and recommend Naruto, for example. And I realized that if I recommended something that's so long, honestly, you have to be one of those people that can sit and watch this for like maybe a month straight or something and then take a break and then watch it again. I feel like because these are so short and sweet and you could connect to the characters for a beginner, honestly, I chose Cyberpunk to start off because I'm like, okay, so many people play that game. So many people maybe has heard of it and they're like, well, the game sucks. Well, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, the game does suck. And it is an entryway to get into anime. You have some knowledge and background of what the life is in that game that you can relate to that in the anime. And I thought that would be perfect because anime nerds are also gamers. It tends to happen a lot. Look at League of Legends. Like immediately when that anime came out, so many people played that game and they were like, this is a horrible game.
The Venn diagram is not a perfect circle, but it's as close as you can get.
Yeah. And honestly, again, because gamers like they can relate to that or have some background knowledge, I feel like compared to just straight up watching an anime, any anime, it feels like a perfect entryway. Now, Ranking in Kings, I wouldn't say it would be perfect entryway. Of course, the animation, like I said, is kind of childish and gives you this image of like, oh, I'm watching a cartoon. So because of that image, it kind of maybe reminds you a little bit of watching like Disney when you were a kid, or maybe Nickelodeon, stuff like that, where it's like simple but catches your attention, might take you back as a child. But I feel like that one would be a good entry because of that side of, oh, I've watched something like this before. Like I've watched something with this exact animation when I was a child. That's why I would pick Ranking in Kings. Again, it's short, but like you have that background knowledge that would be perfect to start off.
I accept this defense. It is an acceptable defense. You have successfully defended this thesis. I now bestow upon you a master's degree of whatever.
Weeb.
I just feel like I leveled up a little bit, so go ahead and add that on my bio. Leveled up. Zoe, what are your recommendations? What do you see as a perfect level 1 clean slate person watching?
Well, I do want to say that whenever I think of a level 1 anime watcher, normally I actually think of kids. Because a lot of us started whenever we were preteens, I kind of think like if I was a parent that knew anime, what would I be okay with my kids watching? Like what would be age appropriate, quote unquote. And the two that I thought of were Digimon, of course, and Little Witch Academia. Digimon I wouldn't say it was one of my starter anime, but it was definitely one of the animes that I watched, like, along with what was on Toonami. It was kind of, because I think Digimon was on Fox.
Yeah, it was.
Fox Kids.
Yeah, Fox Kids. So, and out of all of the anime, especially considering all the 4Kids anime, Digimon to me was one of the best ones. It's also great because technically it's your first introduction to an isekai. I think everyone kind of has that fantasy of traveling to another world, making friends, and having this constant companion with you with a Digimon. And I think it can be really appealing across a lot of different spectrums, especially for kids. The reason why I like Little Witch Academia is because it's colorful, it's fun, it's fantasy, it's better Harry Potter.
Harry Potter, you give me my wand!
Me and my daughter Bella, actually, that was her first anime, was Little Witch Academia. And she absolutely loved it. She ate it up. And like afterwards, she was like, I want to be a witch. And she'd take my broom and she'd pretend to ride around on it and all this other stuff. And I love the innocence of it and the constant, you can make friends wherever you go, no matter who you are type of thing. And that, like I said, it appeals to me, and I feel like it would appeal to younger generations.
I love that you mentioned Digimon because honestly, like I loved that as a kid. I enjoyed it so much, and I wish everyone started off with Digimon. Honestly, it's definitely like a great way to get kids into it. Now it's all about Fortnite, and oh look, All Might is in Fortnite. Amazing! Like, have you watched My Hero? I'm just like, dude, you don't even know the storyline. You haven't read the manga. Like, you don't even know.
So I gotta agree that Digimon was an awesome call out, especially because like as much as I love Pokemon, for those who see any video, I'm wearing the Pokemon hat right now. Digimon definitely did a much better job of not only showing the relationship between like the kids and their partner Pokemon, but the relationships with the kids as peers, getting through conflicts and getting into arguments and fights and how they work through those. Having, broken family was actually introduced in that as well, and tackling that kind of issue. So I think that was a really good one to bring up for a starter, honestly.
Honestly, another thing I like is the crest. Like each different child had a different crest based off their personalities. Yes. I felt like that was unique for each one of them to feel like they have some type of power or some type of like. And there were general stuff, like one was friendship?
They had friendship, love, I can't remember, I can never remember. Faith, I think, was one of them.
Friendship, hope, kindness. Kindness was kind of nebulous.
Yeah.
Love, sincerity, reliability, knowledge.
I think that was it.
No,
we're missing
there were
one.
only 7 of them. No.
There were only 7. Yeah. Were there?
Oh, God. Ken was the Digidestin of kindness, but you don't find that out till like 2.0.
Oh, you don't find that out until like the 3rd or 4th or 5th.
Oh yeah, we're missing miracles and destiny.
Destined crests. I'm Googling. Okay.
This will be in the trivia, one of our panels. We'll see who has it.
Crest of courage, crest of friendship, crest of love, crest of sincerity, crest of knowledge, crest of reliability, crest of hope, crest of light, crest of kindness, crest of miracles, crest of destiny. That's the ones. I wasn't counting, but that's all of them that they have listed on Wikipedia.
Of course.
So.
By chance, do you know like how many episodes are each one?
I'm not sure. I know the first series has like 50 something episodes, and I think each one has about 50. That's one of the reasons why I also recommended Little Witch Academia, because it has 25 episodes over 2 seasons. So it's short enough that you could probably binge it in a couple of days, but it's also long enough that, you know, there's enough character development and background that's established.
Yeah, I think it would be perfect for a kid, honestly. Like, start them off young with Digimon.
Right.
I've never seen Little Witch Academia, but I do see it all the time on Netflix. I'm like, I should watch it.
It is on Netflix. That's another reason why I like it, is because of the fact I find Netflix is a lot more accessible than like Crunchyroll or High Dive or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier for more people to watch.
I agree. Well, Dana, I don't see you challenging Zoe. When the heck?
I don't know enough about it.
Oh, you don't know enough about it. I see how it
I'm
is.
trusting the judgment. At least ranking of things I've seen, and Cyberpunk I've watched trailers of and watched all the memes.
Well, I see how it is.
Sounds like a cop-out to me. But
Oh, 100%. I'll own that. I'll own that it's a cop out. We established already I am a coward, and that's okay.
All right. Omar, can you tell me what you think, in your opinion, would be great for someone who is just starting out, whether it's from a video game or even a child? What would be the ones that you would pick?
Yeah, before I jump into that and to make a recommendation, I think it's important for us to tackle a certain elephant in the room on this subject. Honestly, everyone, no matter who you are, has a certain amount of anime bullshit that they can put up with. And all of you know what I mean. It could be something like completely out of place fan service, could be random character models in the middle of an anime switching to chibi mode, or looking like they're just going to stick figures or whatever, horny nosebleeds, etc. You know, for a beginner, I think it's important that we limit the amount of anime bullshit until they get used to it. Now, don't get me wrong. I love me some anime bullshit. I'm here for the anime bullshit, but I've also been watching anime for 20 plus years. But you can't start people out with it. So for my recommendations, I want to keep the anime bullshit down a little bit. And I also want it to be kind of a little bit shorter stories where their stories have been completely told. That way people aren't having to catch up on like 900 episodes, you know, looking at you, One Piece. Maybe not the best one to start with. So for my first recommendations here, I'm going to go with High School DxD.
Excuse me, what?
Just kidding. That anime is nothing but anime
You
bullshit.
straight up went to the highest one there.
After my whole thing of I'm going to defend you to the teeth for your choices, you made my heart like jump out of my chest. Like, wait, no, fuck, no, this is not what I'm agreeing with.
I knew you'd panic, so I couldn't help myself. But in all seriousness, my first recommendation, I'm not going to go into spoiler territory with anything here. I'm going to keep it short and sweet because I think these are both animes that people really need to experience with the least amount of information going into them. First one I'll go with is Erased. So Erased, it's kind of your typical murder mystery plot. There is a little bit of a time travel element to it. The story itself kind of takes place mostly in modern day Japan. With the plot device they're using for it of the murder mystery, it's really easy for anyone who is not familiar with anime to still relate to the story. The main character spends most of the time interacting with a lot of other kids his age due to the time travel aspect, and they're all elementary school kids. And just about everybody has memories of, you know, going to elementary school, hanging out with their friends during school, after school. And so it kind of weaves in this murder mystery plot with the everyday life of an elementary school. elementary school life, kind of mixed in with your home life back when you're in that age. And a lot of people can relate to those. What I think makes this particular anime so accessible is that all of the story settings, the environments, everything are ones that you can easily relate to. There's nothing about having to get used to traveling to another world. There's no trope of like, hey, I go to school, but I go to school where everybody is a chef. And if you don't cook well, you get kicked out. Or we're all going to gamble for our grades. Like, it's not, the anime bullshit aside, it's all something that is easy for folks to actually relate to and kind of harken back to some of their own memories from that age group. As far as anime bullshit goes, I'm going to say this one, despite the time travel trope, which we've been seeing that since, like Back to the Future, everyone's used to it. So that doesn't really count as anime bullshit at all. So I'm going to give this an anime bullshit score of 1 out of 5. Easy to recommend. Moving on. My second recommendation is Eden of the East, an excellent anime that has not gotten nearly enough love. Again, on this one takes place mostly in modern day Japan, just like Erased. The storytelling on this one and the mystique of the plot is very well done. It does an amazing job of world building. It actually starts out like in the US with a kind of the scene kind of starts a little bit, I wouldn't necessarily say shocking, but it'll make you go, what is going on? And it sets a really good base for what this anime is going to be about. There is an amnesia plot point to it, but just like the time travel with Erased, it is something that's very universally well known, and it's really easy for somebody to relate to, even if they are not already, avid anime watchers. So even for those who are just kind of entering into the anime scape, there's a lot of pieces of the plot that they can easily relate to pretty quickly. In addition, it's also going to have enough, like, the mystery of the plot kind of keeps building and building and building, and kind of the climax hits like in the last 2 movies. The characters are really likable. I know Dano mentioned this before. The music score on there is fire. Everything about it just screams accessibility, while at the same time just being extremely high quality. Like I said, I want to go into any kind of big plot spoilers on it because I think it needs to be experienced, but it's awesome. The antagonists are great. The characters are complex and have a lot going for the motivations. So overall, definitely recommendation for not only newcomers, but for anybody who hasn't seen it. Again, on this one, anime bullshit score, 1 out of 5. Easy to recommend. If you haven't watched it, watch it.
I've actually never watched it. I've seen clips of it because my brother didn't watch it.
It.
Did you put that on our Discord for recommendations? Because you should do that so we could do a watch party, because now I'm curious.
I think I've only seen the first episode, and I do remember I really enjoyed it, but for some reason we just never picked it back up again. It was kind of one of those, we have time for one episode, and then we just didn't pick it up.
Is that on Netflix? What streaming services is that one?
Nice if it was.
I know. I think it's on Hulu now that I think about it.
It was on Funimation back in the day, so I don't know where it is now.
I think when it came out, it was on Hulu. That's why I remember it.
I have it on DVD. That's all I know.
I have watched Erase, and I love anime that forcibly makes you want to read the manga. That one in specifically, I was just like, I loved it so much, I had to read the manga. And now I feel like the anime is okay, but I feel like the manga is so much better because you actually get into like a little bit of the background of how this all happened. Thank you so much, Omar. Honestly, I have no disagreements on your choices. Even though I haven't seen Eden of the East, I'll let you know what I think about it after I watch it. So, Dano, let's hear you defend your perfect 2 animes that you would recommend for a beginner.
Woof. I wish I had perfect choices. I'm not even sure I have good choices, but I've got choices.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, and kind of harkening back to what Omar was saying with accessibility, I think about the point of entry being about three things: lowering the barrier, part of that accessibility argument; digestibility. Is this the kind of thing that can be absorbed and retained and felt in 20 minutes over the course of 8 episodes, or is this a One Piece thing where we need 1,000? And the third one is answering the question of why this particular medium, because anime as a medium is kind of special. It can tell stories that live action can't. So I think about this question of how do we get into it? How does someone kind of jump into this as a new thing? And I think of two kinds of people. The first one being someone who is sort of on the precipice. They're curious about it, but maybe they've never had real exposure to it. Either they're young or they just never got into it. They're not averse to it, but they just never got into it. And the second being the skeptical people, the people who haven't really grown out of that idea of cartoons are for kids. And provided they can muster enough constitution, I'm pretty sure that either of these two that I'm about to mention would be a good enough starting point to introduce or convert. First up, and this one's a little bit of a gimme, Spy Family. I'm not going to give a synopsis about it because there's not a lot I can say that would have more value than watching the first 5 minutes or going through all of the Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, whatever social media memes. We've all seen it, even if you've never seen the show. Everybody has seen a Yor cosplayer or an Anya cosplayer, or seen some of the funny face memes that Anya makes. So at worst, you're going to want to see this to avoid meme FOMO. It helps to, I guess, kind of be part of that in crowd because it is super popular. And it's super popular, not just because the characters are charming, which they are. It's that the entire premise is enchanting unto itself. Come for the memes, stay for the feels. That's my elevator pitch for Spy Family. It's great at expressing human relationships in a way that can be felt 22 minutes at a time. And I'll contrast that with, I won't name any, but there are definitely anime out there that you watch an episode and then maybe you feel like you want to call your therapist. And this isn't one of them. This one is really easy. It's fun. It's enough to warm even the coldest of hearts. From ice cold hearts to undead ones, my second choice is a bit of a tricky one in Netflix's Castlevania. And some people might say that that's not an anime. Those people are wrong. Get off your high horse.
For sure, you can be wrong and be mad. People have been doing it for centuries. Just be quiet.
Oh, that's a good way to put it. One of the reasons that I think Castlevania is a good entry point is partially because it's arguably not an anime. So those people that are skeptical and they're like, oh, anime is for kids, it's just Dragon Ball and screaming and fan service, all those like anime bullshit things that we talk about with the anime bullshit levels. This is not. It has effectively none. The bullshit level is 0 or darn close to it. So it's something that people might not be averse to because then they're saying, oh, well, it's not an anime. So it's a lot easier to swallow. It's like convincing yourself to take a pill that you're telling yourself is candy kind of thing. It starts off right away with knocking out that trope of cartoons are for kids with just how graphically violent it is. But it's also not so prevalent that it's every moment of every episode. It's enough to make you wince, but not so much that you're going to want to or be forced to watch the entire episode through your fingertips because you're trying to block it all out. He knows that it also has to tell a good story, and it does. And one of the other distinct advantages that Castlevania has that other anime don't is that it was produced entirely in English first. Because it was made in English first, it's very easily accessible, not just because of for English speakers. It's something that you don't have to, not that I'm a fan of using subtitles as an excuse, but if that is alone is enough of a barrier to entry, it's one less. And the production quality of Castlevania is stellar. It is incredibly high. Spy Family sits at 13 episodes and ongoing. So if you do decide to give it a chance and you say, I want more. Well, there you go. Or sorry, it's at 20 something, but the first season is 13 episodes. And that's enough to give it a solid chance. Really, I'd be shocked if you stopped after one. It's kind of like Pringles. Castlevania has 32 episodes split across 4 seasons, and those seasons all stand well enough. So if you find yourself at an airport with a long enough layover, this is enough. That's really all you need to give it enough of a chance that you might get hooked on it, and or the things connected to it. Video games, spin-offs, or any other kind of Netflix algorithm related things like Cyberpunk.
I agree.
No, those are fantastic. Yeah, those are fantastic. My niece first got into anime with Demon Slayer. And then when we actually got to sit down and watch, she's just like, well, I want to watch this one. And I'm like, Spy Family, do it, kid. Fire it off. Let's go. And we sat there and watched like the whole first season in one sitting. Her mom was so mad at me. But like they fell asleep and me and the kid were up. So like, nah, we're going to sit here and watch anime. Get them while they're young. Contaminate them. Get them used to it.
Contaminate them.
The rest of their life.
And Spy Family is so, there's a word I'm looking for and I can't remember.
Wholesome.
It's unoffensive. Like there's nothing objectionable about it. There's very little, if any, fan service. There's like the tiniest little bit, but it hardly registers on the meter. And there's nothing to it that is gratuitous or over the top. It's a very easy to watch kind of thing with enough payoff that you'll feel good at the end of it. And you never feel super stressful. There's a couple of shows like Cyberpunk might be one of them actually. Where sometimes the stakes just feel really high, and this is not that. This is something where like it's a feeling of safety. I do still agree that Cyberpunk is a great intro because of the story that it has to tell, and Cyberpunk is a great example of, to me, the kind of story that could only be told with an anime. You can't tell that story with live action. It can't be done. This Spy Family, you could tell that story without an anime, but this is the best way to do it and make you feel safe. It's I don't know how else to say it. It's like a warm pillow, or a warm blanket and a cold pillow.
It gives us an age-appropriate waifu, finally.
Yeah, an adult.
An age-appropriate one. I mean, it's not a lot, that's for sure.
Low.
There are not many.
The bar is incredibly low for that.
I do love Spy Family just because it is wholesome. And somewhat it just like Anya, her story and how she is just the most adorable thing, but also her like reaction to things are the best memes. They are. And that's like something that threw me into it is because of the memes. I was like, oh, she'll be in Dragon Ball Z and JoJo. Yeah. And I'd be like, who is this child? Like, why is she a meme? And I love it for that. Castlevania,
the little goofy face with the smile, like smug, very smug face.
And then Castlevania is just another one of those where I was like, man, like if you played the games, you would just enjoy it too, because it was a good game to start off with, and the anime is like almost equal to it, if not maybe even better, telling the story, you know.
Honestly, and one of the things that I like about Castlevania, I've never played the games, but my husband has. So we were kind of watching on different levels, but we could still enjoy it together because it's like I didn't have to have played the games in order to enjoy Castlevania. And I think part of that helped me enjoy it more because I had no connection to the games.
Yeah, I agree.
And the fact that it's like a very story-driven thing, like they didn't have to drum up like awkward filler or weird story plots or tropes or plot holes or plot armor. Like it was already there, hand baked. So they just made him an anime based off of the game. Came out pretty sweet.
I'm not gonna lie, I also like the mythology, or it's not mythology, like what was it?
The
Kind of like The
lore?
Witcher, where the lore.
Yeah.
Yes, I love the lore. I'm like anything with like mythology or lore. I'm just like I enjoy it. It's just one of those things where it just makes it so much better because if you understand the monster, you understand how to kill it, and not every monster is the same way to kill.
Right.
So I like that. I like that background from that.
And the lore is not the lore of Castlevania is very deep.
Yeah.
But in the show, they serve you everything on a silver platter. There is nothing that you need to know going into Castlevania.
Well, this is a great conversation, guys. I love this. I love that everything is different in each perspective. And Dano, just so you know, I will accept the ones that you put out there because you challenged me. I will accept the ones that you put out there as recommendations.
I'm humbled and honored. Thank you.
Now, let us all judge Colin's choices of level 1 beginner anime he would recommend. See what he has for us.
All right, number 1, Neo Genesis Evangelion.
Nope.
Just kidding. Just kidding. Everybody calm down.
I've seen that 4 times through. I still don't understand it.
It was like the first anime our anime club made us watch. Like, we watched Excel Saga and we're just like, yeah, Excel Saga, because we love Liam Neeson movies, or Leslie Neal movies. And then it's just like, Neo Genesis Evangelion. I'm like, I don't even know what's going on. And like the senior member just elbows me and he goes, you never will.
Which ending did you watch, though? The original anime ending or the end of Evangelion ending?
Yes. Because my friend eventually let me borrow it. And then like I'm just like, I don't know what's happening. What's going on in my own life now? Existential crisis is this show. No, realistically, in all seriosity, the first one I picked was Yu Yu Hakusho. I mean, like, so it's a little dated. I remember watching this one with my niece, and she's like, why is that guy wearing like an Elvis haircut? And I'm like, this is before spiky hair was like really cool. But like, he's still the same, like, loud, obnoxious, like, frenemy that the main character has. It's going to be fine, kid. You'll love to love Kuwabara like I do. I picked it because it literally hits all of like the best parts and tropes of most shonen anime. Do you like enemies or rivals that become eventually reluctant allies and then good friends? This is it. Don't be wrong. I know DBZ did it. You had Piccolo and Vegeta, and through the power of friendship and the fact that I'm stronger than you, you're going to fight with me. But Yu Yu Hakusho did it a little better. The filler episodes were not terrible. They were mainly training montages. And it wasn't every problem had to be solved via a tournament. It was supernatural world versus real world, and 2 kids really get tossed into it. I guess it's more than 2. I like to think of it a little bit like ska. It's about knowing your roots.
That's a good way to. I like that. That's a fantastic little metaphor on that one.
It was the best thing I could think of because I'm just like, oh no, because everybody's gonna say DBZ, and DBZ is great up to a certain point, and then it's just like, it's okay. And then like you had Naruto and One Piece and Fire Force 5, all of these shonen animes that have been like blowing up. Go back to the beginning. Go back to watch where it actually started. And like you had story progression, character growth, and all of these fun like niches and tropes that eventually became everything you see in shonen anime today. I'm sure there were ones before it. I just personally believe Yu Yu Hakusho did it better.
Urameshi gets a gun. No further questions.
Yeah. He can fire it once a day until he can't.
And then he also gets a shotgun. No further questions.
Is it done? I'm happy with this. The second show I picked was a bit of a controversial idea, I guess. but it was Records of Ragnarok. Because like I said earlier, there's a lot of nuances to the question about like age, demographic, what's your favorite genre? Because like you think your favorite genre will be this, and then you watch like one slice of life anime, and nope, you're totally into something else. Records of Ragnarok is pretty easily digested. Now, unlike Yu Yu Hakusho, they do have like filler episodes, but the filler episodes is literally explaining how this person got to be so powerful. Like the general premise is person from history versus some person from a pantheon of any religion. Like Adam versus Zeus, or Lubu versus Thor. Show like fights like that. And in between the fighting, they'll have episodes where it's just kind of explaining like the history of said god or the history of said person and why these two are a perfect match against each other.
So is this like the anime version of who would win in a fight?
Yes.
Basically,
It's
yeah.
time for another death battle.
Somebody else watches Death Battle.
Before anybody decides to ask me the ridiculous question, I'm pretty sure they all body Goku. I'm sorry, like I'm convinced all of them can. Like the general premise is like humanity is on the chopping block, but they get a fighting chance. They have to win in a tournament against gods. And so they pick people throughout history to square up against gods of a vast pantheon. And they get a little assistance, so it's kind of a fair fight, but it is just, like the Cell games or the World games from DBZ, but with far more blood. The episodes are easy to digest. You get interested in the characters, and there is no main character. Like, your characters are these two people fighting, and one of them is not going to make it out alive. And then we're going to move on to the next two sets of characters. There are some overlapping characters, like a couple of the Valkyries and several of the gods that are watching the fights. But it just, like, I think the second season just dropped not too terribly long ago. And I'm about halfway through. And my buddy told me about the rumors for the third season matchups, and I'm hoping it happens. I want to see how they make this work. This probably isn't one that you would watch with, like, a child, because there are a lot of people losing limbs, and there are a lot of blood.
That's fair.
And don't get attached to any of the characters.
Don't get attached to any of the characters. Don't.
So it's like Attack on Titan with gods.
Yeah, except like you are never involved in these characters enough to be attached to them.
That's a lie.
Yeah,
You could be
like-
attached to the Valkyries.
The comparison with Attack on Titan is like, yeah, you're assuming that they stay alive for longer than 8 minutes.
Yeah. I think one of the fights the fight I just got done finished watching was, not spoiling too much, Hercules versus Jack the Ripper, and that got crazy. That got nuts. It is a fun show to watch either in like the background or to just watch in general. My friends would come over and we watched the first season, and it was a case of like, you got to watch a show, you'll love it. I'm like, why will I love it? It's like, it's a fighting show, you love to fight. I'm like, all right, sure, but like what? And there's like, no, watch it. And I'm like 3 episodes in, I'm like, I don't know if I even care about this. It's like, keep watching, you'll love it. And they were right. Dead on. They were persistent about it, and I followed through, and it worked out real well. I mean, those would be the 2 I would initially recommend. Like if just some rando mirror version of me comes up and goes, hey man, I want to watch some anime. Like, where do I start? Start here. Learn the basics. Everything else is going to get a little weird in some spots. You're going to fall into some weird tropes, like Omar said, like a whole lot of bullshit. and you're going to get real confused. Stick with the basics. You know that two people fist fighting to the death, you know how to expect that to go.
Yeah, everyone's played Mortal Kombat. That's a good point.
Yeah, just don't hold your eyes on Athena's boobs, okay? That's my only recommendation.
No, I'm not going to
today.
be able to look away. Thanks.
I think she gave herself black eyes with those things. Are you kidding me?
Dude, the memes that came out of that, I never understood.
so good.
Yeah, I never understood. Like,
Going to Netflix right now.
oh my god. Well, Colin, let me just say, I did watch it. And although I love action animes, like for some reason I did not get into it as fast as like my boyfriend would. But yeah, just knowing the fights that are gonna come up, like Hercules and Jack the Ripper, I'm like, I am so interested on how that's gonna work. Like now I kind of want to keep going to see like how a human that like is basically a murderer is going to fight like Hercules, who's like one of the strongest like gods, you know? It's going to be interesting.
Yeah. And like there are certain elements to it because like they are fighting in an arena. So half of the arena is like pantheonic entities, minotaurs, serpent people. And then the other half is humans throughout history who have died watching this fight because in the end, it's all on the line. And just watching how the crowd reacts to the fight itself gets kind of nuts.
And I do love that you also brought up Yu Yu Yakusho. Like most of the ones that we recommended other than, I would say like most of them are kind of like recent. I wouldn't say like, oh, within the year, but those were like more in the recent years. And Yu Yu Hakusho is just like a classic. Like if you were into anime and you watched it at a young age, that was one of the ones that were just like it was perfect. Everyone loved that one.
I was a little questioning on that one because like it's a classic and you should watch it. But like at some point I do remember like the comments my niece was asking me like, why is the guy with the orange curly hair, Elvis hair, screaming at everybody? And I'm like,
His caps lock is broken.
that's how he communicates, through caps locks. Like,
It is.
he's just loud.
Yeah, it is what it is, honestly. That's just the character. Well,
Who can't relate to somebody who shows up to another person's funeral and says, get up or I'll beat you to death a second time?
truth.
I cannot wait to be bullied about my picks.
Yeah.
Trash, you don't know anything.
I love that everyone's different. It's not like we all agreed, oh, if we all watch this for a beginner.
And no one said One Piece.
Yeah. And
No
that's the
one's
good
going to
part.
say One Piece.
That's a good part.
I love One Piece. It is a terrible thing to start with.
If anyone ever recommends One Piece, I'm going to leave this podcast.
Wow, Zoe.
It's a pretty nuanced question when you think about it, because it's like, what would you recommend somebody new to anime? And it's like, all right, but I don't know anything about them. So like if I'm recommending a 10-year-old child, you know, you should watch Neo Genesis Evangelion. That's a top tier anime. You could not possibly hate that one. And then they come back and go, well, my brain leaked out of my nose and I hate you for it. Like,
Hey, that's the ending of the anime too.
yeah, it's just like, hey, did you like the show? Now you don't.
You want to be traumatized?
Yeah. What are feelings? But like, it becomes an incredibly difficult question to ask. And like, we did try to fit it into 2 instead of like everybody dogpiling in 10 animes going like, well, if you like slice of life, you should watch this. Or if you like this, you should watch this. But yeah, it was very interesting to see how everybody dissected like what they would consider like their criteria for considering a good anime as an intro anime.
Yeah.
Because like if I was to be approached by anybody, it'd just be like, watch Bebop. It's a clear-cut winner. I don't know anybody who hates it, and like you don't even have to watch it in order.
And if Bebop isn't a perfect example of, hey, this doesn't work in live action.
That was a deep cut.
Yeah.
Looks like we spilled all our tea for today. Follow us on all socials at animeandtea.com. That's anime, ANDTEA.com. Or email us at anime.teapodcast@gmail.com. You can also listen to us through different platforms such as Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. To become a patron and help support our podcast, please go to patreon.com/anime-tea-podcast. Currently only $5 a month. Even if you're not a patron, we appreciate you for sharing, listening, and engaging. Well, in all closing remarks, obviously we all pick different things. You can, our listeners, like if you want, we're not telling you go and watch these. Of course, it's all optional. So if you feel like you need a little bit of slice of life, a little bit of action, like I would definitely just push you to actually watch these. You don't have to be a level 1. You can have some background, never heard of these animes, and still watch them, and they're still great. It's not specifically for those beginners. I would say like any of these are great animes to start off with. Does anyone else want to add on to that, I guess?
I mean, I am telling you all to go watch Eden of the East.
I am also telling you to watch Eden of the East.
Well, I'm telling everyone to watch Digimon, so...
Boom.
I'm too busy playing the game.
Trigun, Dragon Ball Z, Outlaw Star. They're stupid and goofy.
Yes,
to love.
Outlaw Star's a good one.
For our listeners, if you have any recommendations for level 1 anime fans, please definitely send us an email and let us know what your opinions are. Like, do you believe that what we recommended is actually good ones, or do you believe it should be different? In the future, we will be actually reading these and telling other people what you believe. That way, it's not just our opinions. We have everyone's opinions, and it'd be great. But we are out of tea for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. Like I mentioned, please email us with all your recommendations. We would love to hear from you guys. And until next time, guys, bye.
So
Bye, everyone.